Hi, what I'm going to do now is to start a new little series of making an Airfix model. Okay, you can make any company. I've only picked on this because it's just something I see the other day, and it's also something in a kind of previous life that I had. I was a caretaker at a school and I ran an after school club a couple of nights a week, doing Airfix models, and to get them going we use the starter sets because it's got everything in there, so it's a good way of learning. So anybody, it doesn't matter what age you are, that has never made a model before, just get something. I mean, with these starter kits there are aircraft, there are tanks, and there are cars and one or two other bits and pieces, so just something that you're interested in will actually make it easier if it's a car or whatever. I had a look yesterday. I was away up doing some filming on the St Nigel Gresley that was running at the Nene Valley Railway, and near there is a Knot Cuts, a garden centre, and in there, because a lot of these garden centres are quite good actually, they sell Airfix models and other makes, Revell, various other makes as well. And a lot of them have got a good supply of paint and brushes, which some other places it's more and more difficult now to buy things near where you live off the shelf. But these starter kits, I haven't opened this one yet, I'm just about to. They come with the paint, the glue, or if you want to call it cement, it's called polystyrene cement is its proper name, and a brush to paint it with. So I'm just going to open it now. And I'm going to go today, what we're going to do is just go through what you need and how to start. So I'll take it all out, and we'll see what we've got. That's it. So the box is now empty. This one that I'm going to build is one of the red arrows. It's a hawk. It's not the first one that they did, the red arrows, but the next plane that they used. And this is one, I think, one that Airfix have kind of revamped, because a lot of their models now, they're revamping them as they go, and I mean they're just getting better and better. Now, one thing you need to look after are the transfers or decals, whatever you want to call them. They come with a protective strip. You need to keep them dry and flat and away from everything. So good place to put them safely out of the way. Then of course we have the instructions. Now, a good thing that Airfix do now is they give you this sheet, which is before you start sheet, tools that will help you build the model. So what I use, the main things, I mean I've been modelling for years, so I do have quite a selection of tools. If you're just starting out, these are the main things you want. One good thing is to get yourself a little pair of cutters. Now these are called sprue cutters, and the sprue is the actual bits of plastic, if you see on there. The long bits that everything's attached to is called the sprue, and what happens is these are injection moulded. So once the mould is made, the plastic is injected into it high pressure, and the sprue is the bits that all the parts are fixed to. It's got lots of information on there because it's got numbers, and the numbers will correspond to what is written on the instructions as well, but we'll go through that as we get to it. So it comes in a sealed plastic bag. All right, so that's that bit. I've just dropped on the floor the paintbrush, so I'm going to try and pick that up. You can show this is all live, nothing's edited. So this is the paintbrush that you get with it. It's quite a nice detailed brush. You also get a bag with 4 colours in. You've got black, red, I think that's a silvery grey colour, white, and of course you've got a small tube of polystyrene cement, or it's the glue which you use for plastic. You've got to be careful of it, because if you put too much on, I don't know if any of you ever made models when you were very young. I made them when I was about 10. You get it all over your fingers, it sticks to the plastic, and of course what it does, the way it bonds the plastic together, it actually melts it. So, you know, if you put too much on in one place, one, you could get a fingerprint, a really good quality fingerprint, and two, you can distort the model as well, and you won't get rid of it off afterwards. So we'll show you ways of putting on the cement to keep it clean. Now, going back to the tools, so sprue cutters are really good. You can just find a very, very sharp, small pair of scissors may do the job. Things like pegs, tape, masking tape is quite good if you're holding something together. Like say when you put the fuselage together and you want to hold it firm, you can use a low tack tape to put round like you would if you were painting something. Pegs are quite good, different types of clothes pegs. Tweezers are a very good thing, obviously, for picking up very small parts and gently putting them in place. And they say a drill, you can buy like very mini kind of drills. Sometimes what I've got an array of files, and a lot of them have got points on. And sometimes when you've got to put a part into a little hole and the hole is, you know, it's a little bit tight, you could just put that in and just twiddle it round gently. Or if you've got an array of small drills, scribers, if you've got anything like that, depends on what. But if you're starting from scratch, if you go to a reasonable model shop, they may have things, or you can just improvise with various bits and pieces. But the other thing with files, if you haven't got a set of small files, I tend to use these. They have got like diamond grit in, so that they're quite nice. You can get needle files, which are very fine small files. Failing that, you can use, this is a kind of it's not an emery cloth, it's a very, very fine kind of sandpaper, but it's a good quality one, quite fine. So the reason you want that is because when you cut your piece off of the sprue, you normally have a little lump sticking out, and of course you don't want all these little lumps because sometimes it prevents parts going together smoothly, so you need to just kind of rub them off. Another good thing to use is a nail file. So if your wife's nail file is lurking around somewhere, then just kind of borrow that. It's just something to take that little lump off, a little burr, and sometimes you get little excess bits of plastic. It's not so bad these days. Most of these come out very clear and very clean, so it's not like the old days when you get lots of flashing, which is just extra bits. But so before you start, it's good to read this. If you're buying one of these modern starter kits, this is what you're getting. I mean, I know you can go and buy second-hand old starter kits, which may not have this before you start sheet that's in there. But it's very good. Now, one of the main things, because nowadays most of the paints that you use are acrylic, and acrylic is a water-based paint, so you're not using anything that's really toxic. The other thing is you don't need to buy any brush cleaner as such, because you can clean it under a warm tap. You can just clean it off quite easily like that, because it's acrylic, it's a water-based paint. So you don't have to buy thinners and various other things. I mean, I still use a lot of oil-based, but then I've always used oil-based, and a lot of things that I model need specific colours which you can't always get in acrylic, but the range of acrylic paints is growing year on year. So yeah, you can basically get most of what you want in acrylic. It's a different way of painting. You sometimes need 2 or 3 coats to achieve perhaps what you may have done in 1 or 2 coats with an enamel paint, but that's how we're moving on now. Right, so the main part of the kit comes sealed like this. So what you need to do is to find a pair of scissors, which I have here. The other thing to do is to find somewhere, I mean, I have a room that's dedicated for my model making, which is basically a spare bedroom, and I've got a bench with all various tools, but then I've been, as I say, I've been doing this a long time. Find yourself somewhere, and the thing is to keep the whole area clean. I sometimes just use a sheet of A4 white paper, just a normal thing that you'd use in your printer, just to put down on top. Right, so I'm now taking all the parts out of the plastic bag. Now obviously if there's any small children around, just dispose of the plastic bag sensibly so that there are no accidents with that. So this is how they come. So this is the sprue, these bits around here. They can sometimes be used to make things. I sometimes keep various bits, thick bits, so there's nice curves in there. So if you were making something, you can sometimes, you know, if you wanted some kind of pipe work on a model or something like that, you can use various bits. Also, they're very handy for painting. So when we come to, say, painting the pilots, you can leave them fixed in whilst you paint them. And then when you're ready, you can just snip them off with your sprue cutters. And a secret when you're cutting anything off is always hold the piece that you're cutting, because some of the small pieces, as you cut them, they just ping, and then you spend the next couple of hours trying to look for it. This one you can see is one of the later ones, because if anybody has seen the Hornby program, because obviously Airfix is a part of Hornby, there was a guy on there that redesigned some planes, and he come up with a fancy base. So the actual stand for the plane is that plane that you can see there. So anyway, so the next part is to wash. Now the reason we wash it is because this has been through a moulding process, an injection moulding process. There are release agents in there to make them come out of the mould easily. So because they're all on there, and sometimes when you go to paint it, you find that the paint won't go on smoothly. It kind of reacts and goes away. So you might have to have 2 or 3 coats to try to cover something. So the best thing to do, I've got a bowl here of just soapy water. All it is a detergent that you would use for washing up. So you can use any brand. It doesn't say anything about the brand. So I'll bring the bowl into view, and all you have to do is to pop it in like that. I'm just going to get myself a little brush, because I keep everything over here, so I'm sorry if I walked all over the camera now. Right, here we go. So I've got myself a brush, and all I'm going to do is just go over it, and you'll soon see when the release agent's gone off, because it will just become thoroughly wet. So this is something that a lot of people don't do, but when you come to paint, you can see there that it's kind of drying off. So you can see that there is the release agent is on there. So I'm just going to go around all the parts, both sides, all round. Just move it around in the water. And then I've pinched one of our tea towels. It's not one of our best ones, but I don't think it is. And then all I'm going to do is to lay that on the table. I'll put the box over there. Just lay it on the table to put them on, to just dry them off. You can't do anything with the model while it's like that, so don't try gluing anything together or anything like that while it's wet, because it's got to be dried. But if you don't do this bit, you will regret it. So that's the main parts of the fuselage there, as you can see. Quite a nice size plane. I'm not particularly interested in planes. I will probably make this and give it to my grandson, and he can just put it up in his bedroom. So he could, he might like that, he might not, I don't know yet, but I've only just got this. But I thought I would start with one of these starter kits, so that if anybody, it doesn't matter what age you are, a lot of people as they get older turn to model making, because it is very therapeutic. So you can see now that that's another one done. So there are 3 main parts in there, and they're all numbered. There are numbers on there which will correspond with the actual plans. We'll have a brief look at that in a moment, and then that's it. So where's the best place to get these? Well, there are lots of things. There is a Hobbies annual that comes out once a year that has models in it. because there are fewer and fewer model shops now online. Now if you don't go online and you know somebody, then perhaps get them to have a look. If you tell them roughly what you want, or if you can look through with them and just give them the money and let them order it for you, would be the best. I do that for someone here where I live. There's a guy, he does have internet access, but he wouldn't know how to order something. So he'll just say to me, because he's been working through the old railway locos that were made a long time ago. I think it's Delpole that make them now. And we've been working through those. So he'll just come and see me and say, can you order me the schools class or whatever, and I'll just order it, and then when it comes he just gives me the money, and we do it that way, because he's not able to do it. So if you're not, find someone. I'm sure there'll be someone somewhere that would help you, a relative, a friend, or somebody that could just, you know, or if there's a club of some description, a model railway club, or whatever, a modelling club of some description near to where you live, then you could get someone there. I'm sure that most people will be able to find someone. And of course, if you've got birthdays coming up or Father's Day and things like that, you can always say to someone, can you buy me a model or whatever, and have a go and start. So right, we've done the washing of them. They just need to be dried now, so I'm not going to do any more of that today because I'd like it to be really dry. So this is a 1/72nd model, so this is 72 times smaller than the real thing. That's all the scaling means. Now when you turn inside the instructions, the first bit you get here is it shows the 3 sets of sprue. Well, there are 4 actually, because you have got the clear bits, which has got the cockpit glass in the top that goes on. So that's a clear piece in another bag. I will just leave that in there for now. Put that with the transfers out of the way. So it shows you the 3 main parts, A, B and C. And you can see quite clearly on there what the parts are. It also then, it's worth reading all this because it just tells you how to go, how each part. So you start with one, go through in the order. It's very easy to look at something. The only time I might say is perhaps to have a look through, like, it depends on whether you're going to paint this at all. Some people don't paint their models. I think you should, but you're making a realistic model of something, and a part of it is the painting. You could scan through and see like the pilots and the seats, all the internal parts obviously need painting first, because when you close the model together they're going to be trapped in. You're not going to be able to paint them. So have a read through first. Sit down, have an hour or so reading, or longer if you want. You can see the pilots on that page there, where they're in a red suit with a white helmet. Well, of course, primarily the whole model is red because obviously it's a red arrow. And you can see the transfers that are on there as well. So it looks quite a realistic thing when it's finished. So it's not a particularly hard model. This is classified. If you look on the box, it gives you a classification. On the top bit here, it gives you a skill level, and this is skill level 1. But that doesn't matter. The model is a brilliant quality. So whether you're a first-time modeler or you've made hundreds of kits, it doesn't matter, because it's the way you make them that, you know, the skill level just really says that it's quite easy. There's not many parts, and if you follow it step by step, you will produce what it shows you on the box. And of course you can paint that and put the transfers, and I will go through each bit as we get to it and show you myself how I do it. You know, there's lots of people say, oh no, do it this, do it that. You know, everyone's got their own ways of doing things. It's like putting the actual glue on the piece of plastic. which is the best way? Well, this comes with a tube, but some people prefer one that has a little brush in there. Others, they use a pin. Sometimes what I do is put a little bit of the cement in, perhaps a lid of something, just in the top of a lid. And then I use a pin and put the glue on the actual part. Because sometimes if you press too hard and it shoots out, once it's gone on the plastic, you've got to be very careful to get it off and not leave a mark, because that mark will be very difficult to get rid of. And it will mess up the whole image of the plane, because the quality of these new Airfix models is second to none. They just get better and better. So anyway, I hope you found that interesting. If you want to subscribe to this, then obviously you will be told when all the next ones are coming out. I will put it into a sequence. So this is part 1. And then part 2 will be going through, literally we'll be starting on the first part of the instructions, and we'll have a read through to see what bits may be worth picking out to paint first, and we'll go through the painting process. Not that you really need much thing on that, but the secret is don't put too much on. You're better off with lots of thin coats instead of massive thick coats where the stuff runs or whatever. So anyway, if you've never done it before, if you've done it, then you probably wouldn't be watching me anyway. But I hope you found that interesting. Give me the thumbs up if you like it. And if you subscribe, then you'll be notified, especially if you click the bell, you'll be notified when the next part comes out. So I hope you found that interesting, and I'll see you very soon with part 2. Thank you very much.